Hi, my name is Neha Quatra, and this is my author discussion on Booker T. Washington for AFAS 160. Booker T. Washington was born in Franklin County, Virginia. He had a white father and a black mother. He never knew his father, and his mother was enslaved at the time that he was born. After the Civil War, his family moved to Malden, West Virginia, where he worked 2 jobs and also attended night school. In the year 1872, Washington tried to seek admission at the Hampton Institute, which is a school for blacks and American Indians, and he graduated with honors in 1875, and he served on the faculty until 1881. In 1881, the government authorized him to found a school for black teachers. This was called the Tuskegee Normal and Industrial Institute, and it was founded on July 4th, 1881. And he was focused on maintaining a few purposes with the school. There were 2 purposes that he was trying to maintain with the school. One of them is to keep it as a major black-run educational institution, and the other was to have a platform from which to defend and promote his philosophy of African American education and socioeconomic progress. In 1900, he wrote an autobiography called Up From Slavery, and it was published in a popular family magazine called Outlook. And he won a lot of praise from many prestigious literary magazines, and his narrative eclipsed many other slave narratives, such as the one by Frederick Douglass. So now I'm going to discuss the portrayal of slavery in Up From Slavery. So he termed slavery as a school from which Washington and others had graduated from, and the school gave him the will and the skills to move forward. And he portrayed slavery as more of a help than a hinder. So this could mean that racism and slavery wasn't that bad for African American people, and it could also mean that slavery left African American people so demoralized that after being freed, they were unfit for any role other than just being a ward of the state. And instead of demanding reform for American institutions, he calls for African Americans to conform to what's already in existence. And he talks about the refusal of whites to accept responsibility for the evils that they have committed through their institutions, and their refusal to tolerate any form of black leadership. One of the chapters of the assigned reading was chapter 14 of Up From Slavery. And here we see Washington's Atlanta Exposition Address, which was a speech to the Cotton States and International Exposition. And so the majority of the audience at the exposition was white, and many people congratulated him after the speech, and he became very popular in the days following the address. In his address, he urges his fellow African Americans not to fight for equality. He says that the wisest among his race understand why fighting for equality and specific rights is a bad idea, and instead it's smarter to take advantage of opportunities in agriculture, mechanics, and commerce. And after the speech, he gets a review that the whole speech is a platform upon which blacks and whites can stand with full justice to each other. So I feel like this means that they can now face each other because they have their priorities straight. After his speech, he sends the current president, President Cleveland, a copy of his speech, and in response, the president thanks him for making the address, and he says that Washington's words cannot fail to encourage and delight all who wish well for the race. And then later, President Cleveland and Washington became good friends. And then after some time, public sentiment changed for the worse. So some say that Washington was too liberal in his remarks towards the Southern whites, and then some say that he had not spoken strongly enough about rights for the race. And then there was also a change of attitude of the African American ministry. So Dr. Lyman Abbott, a pastor of the Plymouth Church, asked Washington to give his opinion of the exact condition of the colored ministers of the South. And so he wrote a letter, and the people didn't like what he said, and they called for him to retract his statements and for him to modify his statements, and he did not do any of that. And people went so far as to tell parents not to let their kids enroll into his school. So that's my author discussion. It was an honor to be able to talk about an amazing man such as Booker T. Washington, and I hope to get to learn more about him in the future. Thank you.